Hey, what's up? Let's curl some hair. So I'm getting ready to go to a little light function and I'm just gonna throw some curls on my hair. I'll be honest. I prefer having straight hair because I just do not like, time consuming things, especially like curling hair. Woo! Honey, that is a lot. So let's get started here and get this over with. So, just a little bit about myself. I am a 36-year-old transsexual woman. I have been transitioning for about 11 years or so. I started transitioning back in 2014. That was one of the best years of my life to start that journey and just, live authentically as myself. So, again, as I stated, it has been around 11 years or so. Has it been easy? No. Was it a swift transition? Kind of, sort of. Um, it's a lot. With transitioning, you have to be mentally prepared for something like that because you have your days that are good, you have your days that are bad. But persistency is definitely the key. Um, as a trans woman, I, live life every day, to the fullest or as the best as I can. When I started transitioning back in 2014, I vowed to myself that this was going to be something that I was going to carry out on. I was going to complete it. And, nothing was going to stop me. So I started that journey. And here I am today, beautiful as ever. So, as far as, starting my HRT and, adequately doing that, we'll just kind of talk about, you know, what I started or how I started out. So, um, I hadn't always taken medical grade estrogen. When I started transitioning, I was only able to provide myself with black market hormones. They work just as good as ones that are prescribed. Um, Also, to any girls out there that's just starting out with the resources and things of that nature that's out and available, I'll definitely, go to a doctor and let them, assist with that process. However, if you don't have, that available handy and ready, there's other ways to get what you need. As far as in taking my hormones, they were injectables, muscular injectables. I started out taking them in my bottom, in my buttocks, I guess I should say. Um, I was taking them that way, pretty much my whole transition. Um, I would, it was a ritual for me to take a shot every Sunday. So every Sunday, I would, take a shot. And it was just really make me feel really good. So within the first 3 months, things that I noticed was my breasts became really, really sore. Like I couldn't stand for anybody to hug me. I couldn't stand for a shirt to be on my body too tight. It was like crazy. That drove me nuts. That portion of it did. After 3 months, around the 6 month mark, I kind of noticed my skin texture had changed. It was softening up a little bit. Definitely a little glow there, just the overall texture of my skin. Now, within that time period from 3 to 6 months, I started to take or get laser treatment, which is a very important step when transitioning. I noticed with getting laser treatment, it just really changes the texture of the skin. Also, it prevents or kind of stops hair growth, or I would say it just grows back much finer. Also, let me do, advise having spironolactone and taking that is a very important part of the transition. That definitely helps with stunting the hair growth, kind of, stops the testosterone from free flowing within your body. It's kind of much, haltering that. So you definitely need to be on spironolactone and also your estrogen, because over a time with that spironolactone, that will kind of medically castrate you. So therefore, your hormones work freely and they flow freely through your body. So again, I was stating that I was getting laser. So after getting all the recommended sessions that I needed, I think I needed about, at the time, it was either 4 to 6 sessions. I want to say that it was 6, but I got them done. After that, I really didn't need them anymore. However, I still continue to go get, treatments done, because again, it just does something to the skin. It tightens it. It stunts that hair growth, and it just makes that skin overall pretty. And there's nothing like having a beautiful canvas, and especially when you apply makeup. Around the year mark, I kind of noticed that there were a lot of fat distribution that had taken place. So I was always a smaller, thinner girl. So I did notice, like in my facial area, like around my jawline area, that has softened up a whole lot. Before transitioning, the look that I had was kind of androgynous. It was feminine, but it was kind of androgynous. It was kind of like you had to look at me really hard to kind of, tell like, is that a girl, or is that, a stud, or, it's a feminine guy. So it was a lot of confusion there. But it was very much so easy on the eyes. It wasn't like, what is this? So again, at the year mark, I kind of noticed that my hips and stuff had kind of spread. They were a little, bigger than what it was before. Because again, I was very thin, model-esque build. So again, I noticed that my jawline had kind of rounded out. My face had filled out. My hips had spread. My boobs had gotten a little bit bigger, enough for me to create a push. Now, there are some girls that, they're thicker girls, or they're a little, bigger, when they take their hormones, or was taking their shots, or pills, whatever that may be that they were on. It was, they didn't really have to, do a lot to create boobs. But however, for me, I had to create a push, which really, when I was able and I saw that I was able to have a push, that really made me feel good about my transition, because a lot of times you don't see the progress that's happening. So my advice is to take a lot of before and after pictures. So therefore you can compare and contrast and kind of see your growth, because you see yourself every day. You don't really get a chance, or you don't really notice the changes that's happening. So taking before pictures and after pictures and looking at them and evaluating them, you can always kind of see, your progress. Because a lot of times you'll get a little discouraged, or sometimes it can be discouraging when you look at yourself every day and you don't see those changes. But trust me, as long as you're consistent, you will see those changes and you will be happy. A trans woman, older trans woman, told me, when I first started, she said, Ashley, don't, just contemplate or badger yourself with your look. She was like, take your hormones, transition, have fun, and before you know it, you'll look exactly the way that you want. So after a year or so of constantly on my hormones, let's say roughly 3 years into transitioning and being on HRT, I felt as though my body was ready to go into surgical. mode of having surgical procedures done. At the 3 year mark, I noticed that my body had softened up a whole lot. My skin was glowing. It was soft to the touch. So I decided to go and have my breast augmentation done. And I believe I had that done in 2016. The breast augmentation, when I had that done, that was everything. I really felt my zhuzh at that point. How did that breast augmentation go? The surgery was not bad at all. The only thing that was kind of difficult for me, or that, was kind of iffy to me, or I guess discomforting, was when my nerves started to reattach themselves after surgery. But of course, the doctor prescribes you muscle relaxers and things of that sort, so it kind of helps with that. But that was a breeze. A lot of girls, pain tolerances are different. A lot of girls that, my friends and stuff were saying, girl, it hurts, this, that, and the other. But it was okay for me. The only thing, again, that was discomforting was when my nerves started to wake up and reattach themselves. In 2017, I had my first BBL. That was okay. That was a breeze. That didn't cause me too much pain or anything like that. Again, yeah, that was a breeze. I was okay with that. As far as the way my body looked, I wasn't too happy, after, all the swelling and things of that nature went down. I was definitely under the impression that, one BBL would get me what I need. I'll be hippie, I have a nice, buttocks on me. I'll just be given what's supposed to be gave. That wasn't how that worked. I soon realized that, most girls, when you see them with the nice small waistlines and, proportioned hips, they obviously had several rounds of, BBLs or fat transfers. So a year or two went by, maybe 3 years or so. In 2020, I had an orectomy. What is an orectomy, you ask? Orectomy is when you are castrated. So I had a bilateral orectomy, which is a castration of both of my testes. I had them removed. When it came to that surgery was a breeze for me as well. It wasn't even discomforting to me. I was under the impression, thought that it would hurt. It didn't. That was a breeze too. So as for now, all of the surgeries that I had, they were a breeze. They didn't cause me any, discomfort. It wasn't like I was in excruciating pain or anything like that. So yeah, in 2020, I had orectomy done. I was really excited about that because guess what? When I, took my hormones, I knew at that point, estrogen would just freely flow through my body and I wouldn't have anything to, like, as far as testosterone or anything like that, stopping it from doing what it was or needed to be, do. And also I wanted to be castrated just in case if something happened where estrogen was no longer available and ready for me to take. I didn't have to have a dysphoria, concerning whether I would revert back to looking like my old self. So that was one important part of why I wanted to have that done. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. Definitely glad I had done that. So about 2 years later, after that, maybe three, I went and had my second BBO done. I can definitely say the second BBO, when coming off the table, and about after 3 months or so, my body looked exactly the way that I wanted to. It wasn't overly done. It wasn't underdone. It was exactly the way I wanted to. Very natural-esque. Definitely appears that, I just worked out hard and got that done. Gosh, no. I'm not a workout type of girl, even though I have started to get in the gym to kind of maintain my body. Definitely, if you want to keep, your nice body, working out is the way to go because, of course you have to eat, and if you don't watch your body, you will gain all that weight back, triple fold. And of course, transferred fat does grow, but also that stomach will too if you don't, work it out. And I'm not rich, so I can't constantly, go over and over having, you know, um, liposuctions done. Now let's talk about this second BBL. The second BBL, now that was painful. Oh my gosh. That was excruciating. That pain was difficult. The prior surgeries, I didn't really have to deal with any pain. But this second BBL wore me out. And it wasn't necessarily the injected fat, it was more of the lipo that hurt it the most. Like, it hurt so bad I cried. It take a lot to make me cry. My pain tolerance, I guess you can say that it's high. But that, oh my gosh, that second BBL wore a girl thin, wore me out. The only thing that seemed to make me feel better was getting massages. I noticed when I would get my massages, it's like it would relieve a lot of pressure. That pain would go away. I would fall asleep like a newborn baby that just got off the bottle. Or had just been fed, I should say. I would constantly massage myself, pushing out all of, the toxins and the fluid and things like that that was in my body. I went and had, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering now. I went and had my massages done and things like that. And in between my massages, I would massage myself as well through my lymphatic system. But yeah, that BBL, that second one wore me out. I could not take it. It was terrible. Would I do it again? Possibly. But as of right now, I'm very content with my body. So that is pretty much all of the surgeries that I had. I haven't had any facial work done. I am thinking about having a small minor FFS, which is a facial feminization surgery. But as of now, I'm content with how my face look. When I have had consultations done with doctors, a lot of them would say, already have a nice feminine, face. Your nose, it's nice. It's not overly, big. You don't have really much of a brow bone, so you're good. But I have had, some fillers every now and then, just to kind of, alter my look and just give some more, better enhancements. There's nothing wrong with enhancements. As a trans woman, enhancements are necessary. It's a must. Some girls, prefer to have, nothing done. They just want to be natural-esque, and that's okay. Everybody's transition is different. No one trans girl is going to transition the same. Another thing, girls, please don't, compare your transition to someone else's transition, because everybody else's body anatomy is different. Our body anatomies aren't the same. So, where I may blossom, it may take you a longer. Where you may blossom, it may take me a little longer to blossom. But just stay the course, stay the race, be patient, don't rush. Taking your time is always great. It's nothing like taking your time. You'll win the race. Just have fun. And before you know it, you'll be blossoming, you'll be glowing. You will look in the mirror and you will see the woman that you want it to be. You will look exactly the way that you envisioned that you wanted to look. So again, don't let anyone rush you into your transition. It's not a catch-up game. When you start to want to play catch-up is when you start to look a little animated. No one wants to be looking animated. No one wants to go through life with people looking at them in weird, awkward ways. I love the fact that I am easy on the eyes. I don't spook people out. When they look at me, they don't get chills or they don't get spooked or, anything of that nature. They take me as I am. And that's because, I took it slow and steady. And again, slow and steady, as I stated earlier, wins the race. So I am done here with my hair. Ooh, it is pretty. It is free flowing. Look at those curls. They are bouncy and full. Amen. Look at that. Look at that bounce. Nice, healthy hair in my honey blonde, dark root unit. Every time I do my hair, I always have to just love on myself in the mirror. Vanity is an issue for me. And especially when you look the way that you want to look and, you're happy with life, you can't help but to, be vain. So again, girls, take your time, be patient, and it'll all come in due season. It's been lovely chatting with you all, and hopefully you learned a little or two about me and my transition. And until next time, I will see you later. And come back. I'm a lot of fun. Bye now.